in-depth reporting. Up-to-the-minute weather.
Columbia City Hall is currently on a mission not to crack down on pit bulls, but definitely irresponsible owners. With all the flowers, cards, jewelry, and of course whining and dining, just how deep into their pockets are Romeos and Juliets digging this Friday? Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brie Nurse. There are only 6 more weeks until graduation, and college seniors are facing their biggest challenge, getting that first job after college. It can be intimidating, but USC can help with the search. Rebecca Ball tells us how one student's fear has been eased thanks to USC's Career Center. Mock was started almost 20 years ago by a small group of service providers, and since then it's spread to 14 counties and nearly 60 agencies here in the Midlands. Summer is just around the corner, which means getting a beach-ready bod in tip-top shape is a #1 priority for some people. One gym is taking strength conditioning to the next level, getting people hyped about a combine that highlights the importance of healthy weightlifting. Annie Conduras tells us more. Meet Betty and Chanel. These two were violently attacked by a pit bull last April while taking a walk in the neighborhood. She says it's a day she will never forget.
As I was passing this house, I saw the children out in the yard with the dog, but I didn't pay too much of attention, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw a blue streak coming toward me. And next thing I know, I was knocked to the ground, and the dog was after me and my dog.
Bird says immediately witnessing the attack, the owners never came to help her, but it was a stranger instead who did.
And it just so happened that this guy was coming up the road at the same time, and he took the dog off of me. If he hadn't took the dog off of me, no telling where I would be today.
The owners of the dog who attacked never showed up in court, and the dog was put down by the city. Columbia City Hall is currently on a mission not to crack down on pit bulls, but definitely irresponsible owners. The City Council has suggested to raise registration fees and taxes for bully breeds, hoping this will stop overbreeding, lower the euthanization rate, and reach a no-kill status, meaning pits who are given to shelters and aren't adopted will not have to be put down. City Councilman Sam Davis is an avid dog lover and says that the proposal will benefit all animals across the board.
Hopefully it gives them a feeling of relief, one, that we're not targeting bully pits. We don't intend to ban any breed from the city. I think animals that have been trained to fight should not be in the city.
Councilman Davis hopes the proposal will prompt owners to be more responsible and eliminate dog fighting. Bird says she's resilient and doesn't live in fear, but owners should be held accountable so that what happened to her can never happen again.
They may not attack their owners, but if you're walking on the sidewalk and there's a house there and the dog is out in the yard, who's to stop that dog from attacking you?
Brie Nurse, Carolina News. Monday, the U.S. Army published an update prohibiting hairstyles such as twists, dreadlocks, multiple braids, or cornrows larger than 1/4 of an inch. A White House petition calling the Army to reconsider the changes now has over 7,000 signatures and is expected to keep growing. U.S. military member Nicole Wright has natural hair and says these protective styles are helpful to women in the military.
It helps when we can do certain things like twists or when we can do braids and stuff like that. And I do believe that the Army is not taking that into consideration when it comes to women with coarser textures.
Going, or having always been natural, has become popular in the African American community. According to consumer trends from Mintel, 26% of chemical relaxers used to straighten your hair has dropped since 2008, and 70% of women of color say that they do or have worn their hair naturally. So with this new rule in place, what are these women going to do? Cosmetologist Claude Brunson says the Army's update confines women with natural hair.
It definitely means that they're going to be limited in terms of the options for natural hair. And it's going to require a lot more maintenance, perhaps something non-natural or more processed or chemical related.
He suggests protective styles such as sew-ins, quick weaves, bonding, and wigs for Army women who choose not to relax their hair. Wright says she understands why others are frustrated.
For women of color, when we do go to drill or basic training or anything like that, we want something simple.
Our calls to Fort Jackson for comment went unanswered, but supporters of the petition hope that with enough signatures, 100,000 to be exact, the White House will respond and maybe change the rules. This is Brie Nurse, Carolina News. It's a regular day at Yesterday's Tavern, a locally owned restaurant in Five Points. Owner Scott McRae takes pride in what he pays his servers, $2.13 an hour, the federal minimum wage for tip workers that hasn't changed since 1991.
$2.13, and that's what we pay our servers. We've been paying our servers that for quite a while. Any server that's worth their weight, that knows how to serve people, will make well over the minimum wage, $7.25 an hour.
McRae is one of many who are against a proposed federal bill by Democratic lawmakers that could raise the base wage for tipped workers to $7.10 an hour. He says that if the wage for tipped workers increases, small businesses like his could be done for. One server, who asks not to be on camera, says the bill would provide her with a more reliable income base.
I come to work every day wondering if I'm going to make enough money for this bill that's due this day, and I could make $20 or I could make $60. It's really up in the air.
Although the federal minimum wage for workers being risen from $2.13 to $7.10 may sound like a good idea across the board, servers like Taylor disagree to a certain extent.
If you make too much money, then they'll start taking your hourly out in tips, in taxes. So you might not even see your paycheck essentially.
Taylor Hudson says she survives comfortably off of tips, but can see why some may be pushing for a raise. Those against the bill say tip workers on average make between $16 and $22 an hour.
Do your job, the way that you're supposed to, then people are going to give you money. People will throw money at you.
The bill is currently pending at the Senate's Finance Committee, and while some like McRae hope the bill doesn't come through, on the other side are those who say depending on tippers just isn't enough, and after 22 years, they need a stable paycheck. This is Brie Nurse, Carolina News. Most brides love to have complete control over every detail of their wedding, but for the big day to be completely free, one bride gave up all control to a class of USC students. Hey guys, I'm standing out here on Assembly Street and temperatures are still in the low 30s. Lucky for me, I have this cup of coffee to keep my hands warm. It's going to warm up tomorrow, and I'll tell you why coming up in your forecast. It may seem like a cruel April Fool's Day joke to some, but starting Saturday, students will no longer be able to park in the parking lot closest to the Coliseum. Sydney Patterson has more on where else students can go to find a place to park.